Hey, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I have a puppy underneath my feet today. I shouldn't say a puppy. That sounds like he's little. And I have an 85-pound dog underneath my desk right now. So he keeps pushing me back, and I keep moving back and then moving forward. So if you see me do this, it's because I'm battling underneath the desk with a dog.
Bogey.
Yeah,
Good
he's a
dog.
good boy.
Well, we are getting, this is like full on spring now, which is great. Driving around our area, seeing all the trees,
Yeah,
leaves, and I think they're done with all the pollinating and everything. So my allergies have calmed down a little bit, which is nice.
that's
But
great.
yeah, it's beautiful. Now it's just time to mow yards.
That's it. I'm gonna be doing mine later. As soon as this is over with, I've got to shut my computer down, and because we're fixing to have like 10 days of rain.
Yeah, I know, and but a little bit warmer weather too, so that'll be
So
it's nothing like rain and heat.
yeah, exactly. Did you lose a lot of plants over the winter?
Yeah, I lost a few bushes in my flower beds. I've got to have yanked out and or replace them with something. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't made any decisions.
Well, we had the big storms that came through here, the 75-mile-an-hour straight line winds. I lost a huge tree
Yep.
and thought that's all I lost. And then we came back from NCSG, and I was looking out a window, and it's like, that's a shingle on the ground. Come to find out, it looks like I got to have my entire roof replaced.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, isn't that crazy? Yeah, they brought somebody out here, and everyone, they said 90% of my roof, the shingles are buckled from the wind. Yeah, I'm lucky that we didn't have any leaks. The one that came off is like at the very top. So yeah, so I think
Wow.
we had found a place where it leaked a little bit, but it's not anything. It's not a big thing to repair. But yeah, I'm waiting for all the final deal. But it's crazy. You never know, man.
Yeah, you never know. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Well, let's get into the subject for today. Well, first of all, thanks everybody for being here. If you are coming in, make sure you give us a thumbs up or a like or a heart or just say hello so we know you're here and we can acknowledge you. Always appreciate it. Those of you who are here and listening live. Um, all right, we are talking today about a subject that I think is interesting. As marketers, we kind of sometimes say, yeah, business is business, kind
Mhm.
of reducing it all down to every business has the same decisions to make. Every business has the same objectives. Every business has the same marketing strategies or the same challenges or whatever. But it's not always true. There are differences with home service businesses.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to, and so do you, to kind of distinguish what those differences are and call them out so that we can, hopefully find some advantages here that, in terms of how we focus our time, our effort, our energy, our marketing dollars, and all of that to really get the best results for the kind of business we're in. So,
No,
you
I
want to kick it off?
agree. Sure. So, this is a lot of people don't know about LSAs. They're local service ads. Google, I mean, they're really big for people that qualify for them, and there are still a lot of companies that don't qualify for them, and unfortunately, the chimney industry is one of them. I was in a big webinar 2 days ago on LSAs, and I asked the same question like 5 times, and they would never answer my question. And my question is, how do you get a category into LSAs that's not currently there? And I can't ever get anybody to tell me how you do that, or if you do. And my kind of my default is, I guess, if they're not going to answer, either A, they don't know, or B, the answer is you're going to do it when Google says you can. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I am trying every time I get on to try to get the chimney industry into local service ads, because I think it would be a really good thing for them. And if you don't know what those are, if you go in and type in handyman, you can type in electrician, HVAC, electrician is another one. They all come up, and there's 3 boxes across the top of search in Google. And they're guaranteed. Some people call them the Google guarantee ads. They've got an entire platform that's all their own. Google does guarantee it up to $2,000 for consumers. They do that in that particular platform. The reviews that come through that platform are totally different than the reviews that are coming through your Google business profile. You got to go through background checks. I mean, there's just a lot of other things that you have to do in LSAs. But man, when you qualify for them and you go through all the stuff, they work really, really well for many, many people. And Google's a little bit more fair about them too. Even though there are things that help you, being responsive, that's a big thing. You have to respond to everything within 24 hours. So you have to be extremely responsive if you're going to be in LSAs. They're not a set it and forget it platform at all. You've got to be responsive for booking. You've got to be responsive if you get negative ads. You've got to be your negative reviews. There's just a lot more hands-on things that have to be done with that. So it has to be managed properly. So you really do have to know what you're doing with that and understand that it is a totally different platform than a Google Business Profile or AdWords.
Yeah.
So,
and having point people in your office who can manage the communications around those Google guarantee or local service ad appointments and booking. There's different widgets that you can use to let people book on your website, or to streamline into your calendar integrations and stuff like that for those Google guaranteed appointments. But it does mean that there's additional overhead to manage all of that.
Yeah.
We have a platform that we use, or that we've developed, called Customer-Matic, and it does integrate with local service ads and pulls in to integrate and sync with calendars and communications, so that you're not missing any communications, because it's just yet another tab that you got to have open in your browser otherwise. So getting it all into one place is important. And but the real upside is, and here's what we know, almost now 100%. It's like 98% of consumers read reviews for home services before they pick their contractor, before they make a phone call. The Google guarantee just adds an additional layer of peace of mind for a consumer who is concerned about hiring somebody who's good, and who, there's some backing to their work. If things go wrong, there's this warranty that guarantees that that things are going to get fixed, or going to be corrected, or whatever. So that's worth something. And being involved in the LSA program, if you are one of the categories of home services that they're currently accepting applications for, it's worth the process of going through that, because it really can bring you a really good, really qualified, ready to spend consumer who's happy to use that service to get you booked, or to get you out to the job. So,
yeah. I mean, and there's, there may be some opportunities here or there in some of the categories that come up. We're kind of looking at it. Nobody's taken advantage of some of those yet, mainly because we're not sure that one of the big ranking factors is the categories that you pick. So let's just say, if you're in the chimney industry and you go, wow, I can be water remediation. Well, that's kind of a yes, no. If there's a flood and somebody wants you to remediate their carpet or, that kind of stuff, then are they going to give you a negative for being in that platform under water damage? So, I mean, these are the things that are really hard to calculate. And that's really one of the reasons that we've not gotten more aggressive trying to look at the potential of kind of coming in the edge, if you will, on a category, because all the information I'm getting is if you get too many negatives, it just pushes you down. Even though the other thing that's really interesting about LSAs, I think, is really a better thing than a lot of the other type of ad platforms is they really do try to rotate and give everybody a chance at leads. So that seems to be a little bit more fair of a platform, that it's not all about reviews and not all about how big you are and all about, location and those kind of things, that they really do try to be fair. But when everything is said and done, they're still relying on reviews. They're still relying on responsiveness. There are certain triggers that they are relying on. So it's, if you qualify, then I highly recommend doing that. Absolutely. And there's I'll try to pull it up here in a minute while you're talking. I'll try to get the link. I should have done that. That's just where you can go and see if that is something that you qualify for.
Yeah, good.
So, excuse me, while I do that, I'm going to let you talk about the communication throughout the service experience.
Yeah. So this is one of those areas where service business is definitely different than a restaurant or a brick and mortar, retail boutique kind of thing. The process of serving a client in a home service business there's multiple steps along the way. And all of those steps it's kind of a two-edged sword, right? It's the potential. Every one of those steps is the potential for you to hit a home run, to communicate well with a customer, to let them know, exactly what's about to happen next and win a customer for life. But also every one of those touch points, every one of those moments in the customer service experience in your company is a chance for you or your company or someone in your company to blow it and to create friction and roadblocks where there shouldn't be friction and roadblocks, or where hopefully we can eliminate friction and roadblocks. So, the reason that I talk about this in the marketing context is because every one of those service experiences adds up, those microservice experiences, those touch points adds up to be the total, experience that a customer has. And therefore the review that they're going to leave, or the things that they're going to tell other consumers or other friends about their experience with you. And so it's very important to think about it from a marketing standpoint, to think about it from, world-class communication equals marketing these days. And there's just no way around that. So what are those touch points? What are those moments along the path of working with a client that you need to be thinking about? The first touch is not always what you think it is, right? It's not the phone call that they make to your business. The first touch actually happens much earlier than that, usually through, somebody doing a search and looking for people who do what you do, right? So maybe that starts online. Usually it does. So their first impression of you is going to be what Google shows them, right? That's where you show up on the page and the maps, the map results. Where are you and how many reviews do you have? And are those reviews good? All these qualifiers that are the real first impression that you have with any of your customers. And then if that wins you the opportunity, they'll give you a phone call. So the phone call is next in that process. And then if everything goes well on that phone call and your customer service representative or whoever answers the phone, you or someone else that you've appointed to that job or that role, if they do a good job in answering those customer questions and making them feel good about their choice, then they'll book that appointment and you'll send somebody to their house. But there's this period of time between when the appointment is booked and when somebody arrives at their house that I think a lot of business owners think about as just being, you know, not important, right? Like, well, they scheduled with us and we're going to come out and it's, 3 weeks away, but we'll be there and I don't need to communicate with this customer between now and then. No news is good news, in other words, right? No communication means everything's the same. Everything's staying, the way that we said it 3 weeks ago when we scheduled the appointment. But consumers don't act that way. Consumers get antsy. They've had bad experiences with contractors and with home service businesses that don't communicate well, who say they'll show up and then don't, who call and cancel or call and move the appointment or just don't show. And these are common experiences that consumers have had, such that the need to communicate well during that gap between when the appointment is set and when you actually get there for the appointment is pretty important. And it's easy to automate. It's easy to there's great tools for that, that, allow you to be able to communicate with that customer. But there's also marketing opportunities in there too. Thinking about when you set an appointment with a customer, they called you for one particular thing, but it's a great opportunity a day after you send them their confirmation for their appointment, or their acknowledgement of the appointment that's been scheduled, to send them another email and say, hey, we're looking forward to serving you on the day of your appointment. But did you also know that we do this service and this service and this service? If you'd be interested in adding any of these things to your service call when we come, simply click the button below and our office will give you a call to discuss, what that would look like. And yes, there's a discount if you add it at the time of the other service. So, they're getting benefit from that. It's a great way of making every truck roll, to every appointment more valuable to your business, which raises your overall per ticket value, and that's how you get rich. So there's some good marketing opportunities in there. Beyond the appointment, now we're talking about following up, and it's getting the review and how did we do, and would you answer this survey or go to Google and leave us a review. We have an estimate that we provided, but you haven't given us an answer. We just want to follow up with you. So that open estimate follow-up process, all of those things are part of that customer experience. And again, every one of them is an opportunity to make it or break it, to build confidence in your brand or to chip away at that confidence in your brand that customers have. So, think about not just that process. Don't think just short term. Think about next year. That same customer, do they have a need for your services again on an annual basis or on a regular basis? Maybe it's not every year. Maybe it's every 2 years. It's real easy to just forget about those customers and just figure, well, if they ever need me again, they'll call me. But did you know in one survey, it's like 70% of people, when they are asked, what's the name of the company, the last company that you used to do plumbing, or that came out to provide a service, or they can't even remember the name of the company. I mean, my wife asked me the other day, was it Best Buy or was it Home Depot that we bought that dryer from? Right? I mean, these are two huge names that everybody you'd think would just know, and we couldn't remember which one we bought it from and which one did the installation. So these are the kinds of things that consumers do all the time. So if you're counting on them to remember you when the next time they need service, and they can't remember you, and so they just go to Google and find the next one on the list, you've lost a real opportunity because you haven't been communicating with them, throughout that process after the sale. So lots of money to be made just in communicating with customers on a annual basis, semi-annual basis, all the way through, just to give them opportunities to go ahead and book that next appointment with you when it's time. So it's not hard to structure, but it is a huge opportunity for home service businesses to really maximize the value of every customer.
And it really is different, because when you are shopping for a particular item. There's so many people that they're looking at, when can that item be delivered? I mean, I know my wife and I are like, oh, well, let's do such and such and so and so. And then she gets on Amazon and says, well, we can't get it until next week. And I'm like, nah, let's see if we can find somewhere we can get it now, because we got an idea. It's like one of those deals. Or you're at a grocery store like Costco, or you're in Best Buy, or you're whatever, and then all of a sudden you go in for one thing and you come out with that and three other things. I mean, it's a totally different type of shopping than when you are literally shopping for that experience of service. It's just a different mindset. And so we don't think in terms of communication, but when you, the way I look at service, the way I look at that is so totally different than anything else. Because when you're in a service industry, if you don't become the best communicator that you can be, because you are really in the people industry. I mean, that's what you're doing. You are communicating and dealing with people all day long. And I've never, ever had anybody tell me, gosh, I wish they didn't call me and tell me my status.
Yeah.
They didn't call me and, tell me blah, blah, blah. I mean, just think of it. If you're flying and you drive, I mean, I'm an hour and a half from the airport, or an hour and 15 minutes from the airport. If I'm on a flight and whatever XYZ company just says, oh yeah, we canceled it, but we didn't tell you, or it's been delayed, but we thought you'd like to come to the airport and stay an extra 3 hours or whatever it is. You got to stay and wait for your plane. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you have to realize. And yet home service businesses are like, yeah, well, they're home. Yeah, they can wait.
Yeah.
Just don't tell them. And so the frustration, it's the same kind of a thing. So I think, reframing that and realizing how important that communication piece when you have a service business can really make your marketing. I mean, it really, really can. And it comes out all the time. We see it in reviews. We see it in referrals. We see it 100%.
Communication is one of the number one things that you'll see mentioned in reviews.
Yep.
And people rate it, even when they're not asked directly, how is their communication? That's one of the first things that people will talk about in their reviews. And it is that important.
Hey, and Chuck, glad you're here. Thanks so much. I really appreciate the thumbs up, man. So the other thing I want to talk about is the use of Google Business Profiles. Many people don't realize Google actually started this as a way for brick and mortar. I mean, it is a brick and mortar business listing, if you will. And a lot of service guys use it, but they don't use it right. So let me just tell you what's just happened just recently. In fact, this thing was planned before this happened. They just did a big local update a few days ago, and we're seeing all across the US, if you hide your address, you're not showing up on the maps right now. It's just tanked people who are hiding their address. And we think it's because Google's going back to, hey, we want a location. There's too many people been spoofing the maps. They've been spamming it. They've been getting away with this stuff, and we're going to start cracking down. Not only are they cracking down on this, recently read an article. Actually, it may have been Chuck Roydhouse that sent me the article. And I just read another one, but he sent one to me. He said, hey, have you seen this? And it was Google's actually going after some of the people that get on the phone and call people and scare them that they don't have a map listing, because they've realized that that's part of what's going on with spoofing the maps. So they're starting to crack down on this stuff. So, if you don't have a legitimate location, then you need to change that and go pay for a location, do what you got to do to get your location done and get on the maps in the right way. Because I think Google is going to continue this down the road. So a couple of other things. There are some things about Google Business Profiles that a lot of people don't understand. They get suspended over it. I get calls all the time It's on social. I get messaged. It's like, we've been suspended. I don't know what we're doing. Why have we been on the maps for all this time? Blah, blah, blah. And there's always a conflict. There's always something that they've done that they don't understand, and it's not that you can't go learn it. I'm not trying to get business here. It's just like, read up on those things and know how to actually manage your Google business profile so you get the most out of it. Because if it's managed well, if it's done well, you can really get some really good business out of Google business profiles. We've seen some of our clients, 50% of their business comes to them. So yeah, just make sure you're managing that well and using it the way that Google tells you to use it, so you don't get suspended. And sometimes you just get suspended because you get caught up in something. Well, they just do stuff sometimes.
Or Google makes changes, and that's part of like their best practice was, if you're a service area business, you can hide your address and that will work just fine. And for a long time it did. And now suddenly we're seeing that may not be the case anymore, and Google may be changing its best practices.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the announcement for that yet, but it doesn't always mean that it's not happening or Google's testing it. So, it's a constant, ever moving target. But the way that brick and mortar retail, restaurants, location-based businesses use Google business profiles is very different than the way that a service area business, would be able to use it. So you have to know what those differences are, and those differences have to be taken into account in the way that you manage it, which is why working with, someone that stays on top of all of that for multiple clients is usually, going to get you a better result, because it's, they understand what those maneuvers are at any given point.
And staying on top of it really means just kind of being dialed into when they do something that you start seeing the results and go, oh, well, I see what they're doing. I mean, that's, somebody said, does Google like notify you before they change things? And it's like, yeah, no, they don't.
We get the engraved invitation to their announcements, and yeah,
That's it. So, I mean, that really is the basis of everything that we're talking about right now. I know we got one comment from Chuck. I'm going to put it up here. In-home service, remember, you're not selling a product, you're selling solutions, trust and reliability to ease their pain point, make things better, correctly functioning how you interact on site, and post-service calls. Show empathy, very important for success for all, as well as doing what you say and promise. Follow up, stay in touch. You bet. That made your point, Carter.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, guys, man, it's 3 points, and we thought we'd have this done in 10 minutes, and look at us, 28 minutes. So here we go. So here, guys, we really appreciate y'all coming on every week. We thank you so much. And for those of y'all that I didn't realize how many people catch us later and in the podcast until recently. So thanks to all of y'all. I know you can't all make it live, but we hope you learned something today and hope that it's of value. So Spark Live is also released as a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, or your favorite player. We look forward to getting any feedback that you have on that as well. And next week, I think Carter is doing the controls, which is great. We're going to talk about how to market yourself as a business owner and the face of your company's brand. This is going to be a really interesting topic because some people don't want to be the face of their company and some people do. So we're going to talk about what you can do if you don't want to be the face of your company, as well as if you do want to be the face of your company, and how to market your company depending on that. So I think it's going to be a really good discussion. We hope to see you then. Thanks again for everything you guys bring to the table. And we know you risk your capital and you risk a lot of stuff when you're in business on your own. So we appreciate you, and I hope your neighbors and communities appreciate you too. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.